we were at...
Pick it up next week.
Kicking that can.
Well, we're under 80. We have 80 paragraphs left. Okay, so we're under 100 out of only 205 paragraphs. So we've been talking about it since February. We've managed to get through like 120 paragraphs. Good for us. So keeping in mind that we're talking metaphorically here, and you have to be able to interpret it, what he was really saying about us and what was going on in us as humans. But so in 675, what Jung says is coming up is a deep split in the divine will. Father wants to become son. Okay. The God the Father, actually, I think God wants to become man. Amoral wants to become exclusively good. And unconscious wants to become consciously responsible. So this is how human beings are changing. Okay. So God the Father, who was the Yahweh, very judgmental and so on, is now regenerating into this Son who is all love. And the problem is that all love doesn't work perfectly well. And John of Patmos knew that. That's what Revelation is about. He knew that there would be an Enantiodromia. He knew that from a vision. But that vision is a vision that all of us have. We all have apocalyptic dreams when something is going wrong with our life. That's the warning. So the significance, what he's saying in 675 is that the exclusion of the Satans means a metaphysical split had already taken place at that time. It was a very deep split in the divine will, according to Edinger's Transformation of the God Image, page 88. Oh, and that's what I wanted to read to you. Okay, I'll get up to that in a minute. Okay, so in paragraph 676, Enoch's unconscious is vastly excited at that time, and his unconscious bursts out as apocalyptic visions. Okay, and so I wanted to read to you this amazing dream that Edinger's patient had. Edinger died in 1998. The point is, okay, apparently this dream was before 1992. He says, okay, so this is a dream of a man who later became a Jungian analyst. Quote, I am along what appears to be the Palisades, overlooking all of New York City. So keep in mind that the Palisades is a fault in the earth where early earthquakes took place. And so the Palisades are literally granite vertical cliffs that are along the New Jersey side from Manhattan. Okay, so I'll read it again. I am along what appears to be the Palisades, overlooking all of New York City. I am walking with a woman who is unknown to me personally. We are both being led by a man who is our guide. New York City is in a rubble. The world, in fact, has been destroyed. It's just one heap of rubble. There are fires everywhere. Thousands of people are running in every direction frantically. The Hudson River has overflowed many areas of the city. Smoke is billowing up everywhere. The land has been leveled. Fireballs were in the sky, heading for the earth. It was the end of the world. The cause of this great destruction was a race of great giants, giants who had come from outer space, from the far reaches of the universe. In the middle of the rubble, I could see two of them sitting. They were casually scooping up people by the handful and eating them. The sight was awesome. The dream continued, but this excerpt is enough to illustrate the modern evocation of the archetype of the end of the world, which is first constellated in history in the context of Noah's flood. The archetype was constellated a second time in the context of the change of the eons at the beginning of our current aeon, which was Enoch's concern, and now the same image is showing up in the unconscious individuals at the end of that aeon, in current times. It's a very vivid expression of the activation of the archetypal contents of the unconscious. That's what the giants represent, the archetypes. They're bigger than life things, and as they descend onto Earth, the image of their devouring human beings is an expression of individuals being eaten up by the identification with the archetypes that are falling into the individual conscious psyche. So being devoured by giants is an image of succumbing to inflation. Transformation of the God Image by Edward Edinger. So he's actually, the dream is actually a prefiguration of 9/11, and Edinger thought it was important enough that he put it in this book. When was this book published? Okay, copyright 1992 by Edward Edinger. So 10 years before 9/11, one of his patients prefigured 9/11, and Edward Edinger thought it was important enough to put in this book, and he didn't live to see 9/11, so it's definitely a prefiguration. And I don't know, any comments about that?
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that.
You don't buy that it's a prefiguration?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a prefiguration. No, I don't think so. I think it could just be a transformation going on with that patient.
Yes, okay. Well, it certainly is that.
And I think it's something that happens all over the place all the time. And so
That's my point, okay? Because that's why I wanted to go back to this issue.
But I don't think it's necessarily a synchronicity or anything like that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in the collective, maybe
think
there was a concern. I mean, this is post-Gulf War I that this is published.
10 or 11 years prior to that. It's
Right.
not like 400 people all in a church had the same vision, and
Actually, when you're reading, I got the imagery of the movie The War of Worlds.
War of the Worlds, too, yeah, sure. And
the giants eating the people. I mean, that's
right.
The giants were the offspring of,
Well, so
they were the offspring of Eve, but that's another thing.
Okay, so
Gnosticism.
whether or not it's a prefiguration of 9/11, okay.
Convert everybody here.
Since we
Collection
can't,
plate will go on.
since we can't ask Dr. Edinger what he thinks about comparing it to 9/11, whether or not it is, it definitely is an apocalyptic dream, and it definitely is an apocalyptic dream related to that patient. I agree with that. Okay, and so the example I wanted to give was when I was 40 and in Washington without a job, and I couldn't find a job for 2 years. Nobody would hire me. And I go, why? Why wouldn't you hire me
What
with
were
all...
you looking for in job-wise in the U.S.?
Anything. Okay, so anyway, I wasn't able to find a job, so I started to have these dreams, and they were execution dreams. And, every night...
Who was doing who?
I was being executed, okay, in any number of ways, by electrocution, by beheading, by hanging, by firing squad.
So did you actually see yourself
I never died in these things, but I
Yeah,
came
that's-
right up to it where they fired the guns and then I woke up
Yeah.
type thing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's pretty apocalyptic to me. I mean, those were scary dreams when I was having them, and you know they were basically my psyche telling me to get off my ass and figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life, right?
I went through a lot of that. The
Did you?
nightmares were incredible.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah, and so the point is that dreams of the apocalypse are routine. Everybody has them. And it just happens that John of Patmos wrote down his revelation, which became a book of the Bible. And so everybody took his revelation and projected it out on them. Wow, this is the end of the world. When it wasn't that at all. It was really saying something to John of Patmos, but
we don't know yet, though.
we don't know that for sure. Yeah, we don't know yet.
Until
Well,
we can compare notes.
no, but the untils have come a few times,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the world was going to end on 9/11, or not at 9/11, but the world was going to end
There
in
was just one recently.
Y2K.
There was one recently,
Oh,
Right.
yeah, there was one recently.
just a month or two ago, that didn't
I didn't go to
happen.
kindergarten because my parents were Jehovah's Witness when I was young.
Ah.
And the end of the world was supposed to occur when I was starting kindergarten. My mom was terrified that I'd be at school and this was going to happen.
Oh,
So
I thought
yes,
she was worried about your education.
I was precocious.
Actually, more water than I would like. Yeah, so
That, and then having them explain away, well, now we have to go back to the calculations, but interesting.
Oh yes, that was human error. God didn't screw up.
If you knew your Bible, you would know that no man's going to know the time of the date and all that. So
right.
the whole thing was ludicrous.
Or a woman.
So you're saying if you're having apocalyptic nightmares and things like that, what, I mean,
It's your psyche telling you something's wrong. Okay, and
'cause I have that all the time.
you do have?
Yes. And they're always they're always eating humans. I mean, it's weird. I know that sounds weird because you said what that guy said, Scooby over eating them, but like, I had the strangest things, and they're almost like I thought maybe it's because I like watching Walking Dead or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's always like some kind of like war, and it's like, you know, these like people, and they start eating people, and they're trying to catch me to eat me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Horrific.
C-
Wow, I
because
A lot of different versions,
Well,
but all along, like all
but-
pretty much all. Of them.
Yeah.
Hearing these?
No, I had these dreams all the time.
Oh,
I only
Yeah.
have pretty dreams.
where
Pretty
what
short ones.
giants are
But
trying to
I
eat
dream
you.
good too. I dream all the time. Like,
Right.
Meadow.
And
Taffeta.
we all dream all the time. Not
Yellow
everybody remembers their
dresses.
dreams, but
Skippy
you know, I
Taylor.
think it's fair enough to say that, you know, some aspect of society is trying to eat up something about your life, you know, and this is your psyche warning you that that's happening, and you know, maybe a change is in order. I mean, you have to analyze it. I can't analyze it for you, but you know, apocalyptic dreams typically mean you have to have a change. While you were out, John, we said, you know, this dream that, or this vision that John of Patmos had was basically a vision telling him that he needed to change something about his life. But because he wrote it down,
because he was so repressed while he was, his public persona was so repressed, right?
right,
He had to bubble out when he was on asylum.
right, and it happened that he, you know, was literate and could write it down, and so, you know, 300 years later, somebody put it as the last book in the Bible, and so now we have millions of people around the world thinking that John of Patmos's dream is going to happen to
Oh, yeah.
in the physical world, when really what it was a warning to him.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a warning from his unconscious to tell him he needed to change something about his life.
What does the act of writing down a dream or painting a dream actually do? Because I know I feel better when I can write my poetry, when I have stresses and so forth. Or when I have a dream, I'm now painting my dreams.
I think it allows you to concretize it and analyze it rather than let it just.
Well, it's a way of experiencing it too.
Yeah.
So that it's more. It's not just this sort of imagery in your head that doesn't really connect with the rest of you. When you put it into, you make it sensual in some way.
Yeah.
Is it like a control aspect? Because then you're pulling it down and making it something concrete that you're now managing.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you're not pulling it down really because it's pushing through. That's the way I would see it.
Okay.
I'd see it more as pushing through.
I had a great dream the other day. It was just a couple days ago that was absolutely bright, vivid colors in broad daylight.
Mhm.
Can't wait to paint that one.
But see,
Okay.
the end of the world stuff could also be you're about to find a new way to think or see things, a different way of thinking or a different way of organizing your thoughts, or maybe at work you're going to have a revelation and you're going to understand how something works there, or you connect yourself in, or you like this you're talking about the training and stuff. Maybe suddenly you'll find a real hook into why and which direction to go with the training, or something's about to happen. But I don't think it necessarily means that the outside world is going to cave in or anything.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't feel stressed out. I mean, I have like the things I worry about, but I'm pretty good at looking my, and refocusing on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing I normally look at as being a good thing, even though I'm kind of scared when it happens.
Yeah.
When somebody goes by, instead of in a pink pastel, they go by in a blue-gray.
What?
But yeah, I know some change is coming, and it's going to be in the way I think, or like maybe I'll get up and I go, oh shit, I should be using orange, instead of. Like, because I'm working on a painting right now. So.
Well, and, basically, obviously, I haven't gone off the deep end. I mean, I'm retired now, but I didn't go off the deep end. I held it.
Okay, everyone, humoring.
You're working harder now than you've ever worked.
Yes, I am. And trying to keep all of you amused, too. Anyway, these dreams do mean something. Your psyche is trying to tell you something. But the only way it can communicate with you is whatever images are available to it in your psyche, and it's trying to put together a story to communicate to you. What that story is, I don't have a clue. Okay. In my case, where I was having these execution dreams, I came to realize that, it was telling me, I had to find something, and so I'd wake up and say, "Tell me something I don't know." I've been unemployed for 2 years. You're telling me I have to get a job? No kidding.
You literally showed me a sign. Place a liar.
I had an amazing dream a few weeks ago. I was doing my readings of Answer to Job, right? And this dream was very simple. It was a sign that came up and it said, "Go faster." Read faster.
How did you interpret that?
It said I better get my tail in gear and read these books. Yeah. And, it's just been an incredible experience.